Alrighty, good morning everyone and welcome to the show. How is everyone today? It is Wednesday, the 3rd of January, 2024, excuse me. We are not going back in time. We are moving forward steadily into the positive future. It is my final consecutive streaming day of the week. I'm DSP, of course, and I welcome you here to stream. I hope that you're all doing well. And today is a special day because today I will address the rumors and all the happenings that have been going on. Basically, yesterday, all during the course of the day, people kept coming to my stream saying, "Hey, Phil, I heard this. Hey, Phil, I heard that." And we haven't heard anything from you. So can we hear from you on this particular topic of what we're hearing about? To which I responded, no, you cannot hear from me. Because yesterday I was busy, you know. We had a new playthrough to do in Resident Evil 0 Remastered that just premiered. And we had to finish up Like a Dragon Gaiden, right? So I was very busy yesterday, and I was like, I can't be derailing all of my content in order to talk about this particular topic. I have a show that I do every day. I'm not sure if you're aware. It's called the Level 1 Podcast. And on said podcast, I address stuff kind of like this, that what you're asking me. You know, so, and so today that is really going to be one of the major focuses of the show, although not the only focus. Yeah, I'd like to talk about how things went with the premiere of Resident Evil 0 yesterday, the conclusion of Like a Dragon Gaiden, which was actually very emotional, surprisingly, and how this is now going to affect the schedule, because we wrapped up that game. It means that we have more time for other stuff, and that's going to be really cool, all right, but, you know, obviously people want to hear from me about a particular topic, which I will address on today's show in as much detail as I can, because here's the thing. Number one, I don't want to spill the beans and completely spoil everything. And number two, I'm legally bound. There's actually a lawyer. He's sitting in my closet right now. I'm serious. And he is watching me for everything that I say. And if I say something wrong, he's going to come out here and he's going to beat me on the head with a ruler and say, you're going right to a nice lawsuit, buddy. I'm just kidding, obviously. It's not all that serious at all. I'm just joking. Please don't take this serious. I'm trying to be silly. And there'll be people who'll be like, what? Phil's being sued and he's a... No, absolutely not. I'm just being, I'm just being silly here. Anyway, tell him to come out of the closet. Actually, the lawyer told me he loves being in the closet. That if he was outed, that it might change his life, and he doesn't want to do that. Anyway, welcome to the show, everyone. My final streaming day of the week. It's been a great week, right? Over the course of this week, way more Baldur's Gate 3, and finished up RoboCop, which was really cool, because it was a good ending to that game. I really liked the ending of that game. Started up Resident Evil 0 yesterday. That was really good. Kind of came to a determination about Street Fighter 6 and the frequency that I want to play it, meaning probably just once a week moving forward for the rest of this month until Tekken 8 comes out. and started up Sea of Stars, which I'm actually really, really excited to play more Sea of Stars later tonight on the late stream and to play more of it in the regular schedule. Now that we've wrapped up the lingering playthroughs, we could do that, you see? So, I am excited for the content that's now going to be coming out for the rest of the month. You know, for 3 weeks or so, we'll be juggling exciting games, right, until the new releases actually start hitting in late January. And the good thing is, I don't think that these 3 weeks leading up to the end of the month are going to be slow weeks at all. Like, they're not going to be bad weeks. These are great games. These are playthroughs you guys have asked for. It's not like, oh, it's filler content, so let's just cram in any old thing to have something to talk about or play. Instead, it's stuff that is pretty in demand. So I'm excited for that, because it's always good when you have a dead time of year without new releases to still have a ton of stuff to do is very exciting. Typically, this time of year, I'd be playing a Bethesda game, right? If you look at my history, it was like, first it was Fallout New Vegas, then it was Skyrim, then it was Oblivion. Well, this year we're playing Baldur's Gate 3. A little different because it's a hot new release, right? Game of the Year winner. So, pretty darned exciting. Although, admittedly, you may have noticed something in regards to Baldur's Gate 3. The attendance is way lower now, and the viewership on YouTube is way lower now. It just is, which I knew would happen. We're 30 hours into Baldur's Gate 3, and did you really think that for a slow-paced, turn-based, narrative-based RPG, that we were going to retain sky-high numbers? And I never thought we would. I told you this. I told you as much when we started this playthrough, that I didn't really feel like it was going to be retained, and I was right. Now, it took a little longer than maybe I had expected, but at the same time, here's the good news. People are still engaging with the playthrough, meaning when I'm playing the game, people are showing up to the streams, hanging out with me, helping me to understand the mechanics. There's still mechanics 30 hours in that I'm still, like, not exactly understanding. And you guys are helping me to find all of the content in the game, which is great. I don't want to miss out on any content in this game. And so you guys are helping me with that, and I appreciate that. But, yeah, I mean, what a decline. To give you a perfect example, when I started playing the game, every part was getting thousands of views. Every stream was getting like 400, 500, 600 viewers. Now, these parts barely get 300 views. After days, I mean, the video's now been live since Monday. They're like 300 views. You know what I mean? So, it's just like every RPG. It really is. If this were like Dark Souls or something, it'd be much different. But RPGs, sadly, don't retain as much of an audience like I would hope. I love RPGs. RPGs are my forte, right? Like, I've played a zillion of them. I love them. I would play more of them if I could actually have a bigger audience for them. But for whatever reason, the RPGs, case in point, Baldur's Gate 3, the Game of the Year RPG, even that, 30 hours in, does not retain a very large audience, okay? But the good news is I'm still enjoying myself. It's not like the playthrough's worse or anything. We're still having a great time. Every time I play it, I'm having a good time. People are supporting the streams, which is great. So don't worry about that. That's no big deal. It's not like, oh, because the viewership is dwindled, the playthrough is suffering. It's not. I'd say it's still really, really good, and I'm excited every time that I play it. Today we're playing it, I'm like, yes, we're going to finish the Goblin Camp and all of that, okay? But it's basically, it's declined to the point where I knew it would, But anyway, so good stuff. Wrapping up all the lingering playthroughs from 2023. Now we're heading full force into the playthroughs for 2024. Everything refreshed for the new year this week, right? The new background, the new animations. You guys have given me very positive feedback. You're really liking the new animations on the streams. There's 3 new ones that are related to Yakuza or Like a Dragon, which is relating obviously to the upcoming playthrough of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. But in addition, there's some remastered animations that I've redone that look much better now, which is excellent. And of course, there was the announcement earlier this week, the relaunch of KO Gaming, now branded DSP Throwback, a channel where I'm going to take all of my lost playthroughs from back in the day that were deleted from YouTube for various reasons, edit them, upscale them, make them look and sound much better, and re-upload them in a very digestible format of longer videos to that channel so people can watch them again. So that's also in process. And some people might say, well, I wonder, how's that going? I'll give you a quick update because I don't have too much of a crazy update in regards to that. But basically, the Final Fantasy 13 playthrough is going to be the first one, just so everybody knows, because there's other playthroughs. There's Red Dead Redemption and its expansions and online play. There's LA Noire, and there's other lost stuff. But it's going to be Final Fantasy 13 that goes up there first, okay? And already I can tell you, I've probably got 4 to 5 hours of footage that's been uploaded and ready to go. And basically, as I said, it's not just me working on this. It's multiple people. And those people are working on taking those videos, running them through these upscalers and everything, and then editing them into bigger parts and seeing, you know, how it looks, and also thumbnails and everything. You know, it's going to be good quality stuff this time around. They're working on that. I've been told, and this is not a promise, likely by Friday-ish, we should have the first video ready. It'll be part 1 of Final Fantasy 13 with the improvements, and I'm curious what you guys will think. I don't know. I haven't seen it. It's not done yet. You know, I don't know yet. But I'm very curious, you know, will people watch this old playthrough in 2024 with these improvements? People have been asking for this for ages. Where is the playthrough? Why, you know, people have asked me to replay Final Fantasy 13, which I totally am okay with doing. But it seems like every time that we talk about it, there's another big RPG out, right? You know, right now, it's Baldur's Gate 3, then we're going to have Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, then we're going to have Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Like, when am I going to play Final Fantasy 13? It's not going to happen, right? You know, eventually maybe, but not right now. So, I'm totally excited for it, but I also don't want to get everyone overexcited, especially because I can't promise you a delivery date. You know what I mean? Like, it might be coming, at the end of this week, or might not. Okay, we'll see. We'll play it by ear. We'll see exactly what you know, what happens with it, and I'll give you updates when I have updates. All right, so that is in process. DSP Throwback. By the way, that announcement video that I uploaded over there, over 2,000 views and climbing now. People have actually casually watched a few of the videos that were already on that channel from 2018. When I was uploading some gameplay over there. I don't know if anyone has actually watched the edited content. I mean, that was just the point of that channel originally, was the edited reviews and things. And, you know, it's ancient now. I mean, now you're talking videos that are 8+ years old. But basically, that channel, once I get videos on it, I need to get 3 uploads and I need to get consistent views. Then I can repartner it. In which case, then I can monetize the content again, put some ads on the videos, etc. In which case, it kind of makes all this effort worth it. Right now, it's really just for the sake of posterity, trying to get these videos back up in a way you guys can watch them. But I think ultimately it may pay off, you know, we'll see. But anyway, that's the update on that. I don't have any more big information. You can check it out at youtube.com/@DSP Throwback. That's the address. If you haven't yet, give it a look. If you're interested in seeing older playthroughs and now upgraded for the modern age, please consider subscribing to the channel and watch some of the content on there if you get a chance. That's not representative of the content that's going to be on there now, but it helps. Like, that viewing hours will help that channel get boosted back to where it needs to be so that I can get into the partner program again. Okay? Cool. And by the way, someone might say, why are you out of the partner program? Because it was defunct for years. YouTube changed their criteria a few years ago. And basically, if you have a defunct channel, they don't keep it partnered. They'll unpartner it, and then when you requalify, they'll repartner the channel. So that's all it was, because I wasn't using it. It wasn't getting any views or uploads, and it unpartnered automatically. Now I can get it repartnered automatically once it hits the criteria again. Okay? Cool. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously I'd like to talk about the schedule, and then I want to talk about the big thing you're all here to hear about, right? The big announcement that I have for you, because DSP Throwback is just one of many things coming in 2024 that are new, big announcements and things that are going to be cool and shake things up a bit, all right? So I have a big one to talk about today. People have already heard rumblings. People have already heard information about it elsewhere, and now they want to get the skinny from me, and you're going to get it. But first, let's quickly go through the schedule, all right, so that you guys know what's coming in the next week or so, and then we will tackle the big thing you all want to talk about. Okay? So, today it is Baldur's Gate 3. We're continuing on with the Goblin Camp. We've already taken out 2 of the 3 bosses in the Goblin Camp. Although people are saying the 3rd boss is also a recruitable person, but I don't know how I could do that if I want to do this plot line where I side with the druids, which I do. I don't see how I could then recruit this person who's the 3rd boss. I don't know if there's a way around it. Maybe people can help me with that today. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand how it works. I certainly don't want to do an evil mode playthrough, right? But I don't know if it's possible to actually recruit everyone in the game, or based on your choices if you can only recruit certain people or others. So I'm sure we'll talk about that today. We're going to finish up the Goblin Camp and move on with the plot. I don't know where the plot will take us once we finish the Goblin Camp. I don't know what's next, you know? So I guess we'll see. I know eventually we're probably going back to the Underdark. Now we have like multiple quests in the Underdark. We have to find some forge. We're looking for some hidden weapon or artifact. Like, we have all these things to do under there. So when we go back down there, it'll actually be more pertinent rather than me just searching for the sake of searching, right? Anyway, so I guess we shall see what happens today. It should be fun, okay? And then tonight on the late stream, I'm actually really excited for tonight's late night stream. It's more Sea of Stars. Now, we only played this on Sunday night, and even though we had a small audience, that audience was super engaged and excited to see me play this game. They had a ton of fun. I had a ton of fun. I can't wait to play more Sea of Stars because the game is an homage to games like Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, and Suikoden. All games I played in my youth, right? So it's like right up my alley. It feels like the game was specially designed for someone just like me. So far, 2 hours in, the intro's been great. I'm looking forward to getting further than the intro today and seeing where it takes us. So that's the late stream tonight. I hope you'll join me if you can make it, okay? I'm off from streaming tomorrow. It's my day off, and I'll be running errands and the like. I'll be spending a lot of time with my wife tomorrow for the first time in ages. Thankfully, we get like a day where we get to spend a lot of time together. She's been playing Far Cry 6, so maybe we'll see. Maybe she could finish it tomorrow. I don't know, because I don't know exactly how far in she is. Because, you know, she plays a lot when I'm streaming. So I don't know, but I guess I'll check in and watch her play. And it's fun. I like having days off where we can spend time together like that and share gaming experiences. You know, Far Cry 6 I played over 2 years ago. It's cool to now see her play it and help her with it if she needs advice or help with sniping or something like that. It's pretty cool. So then Friday, it's going to be more Baldur's Gate 3, and it's Friday Night Fights. The one day a week that I'm going to play Street Fighter, and I made this announcement earlier in the week. I'm only going to be playing Street Fighter 6 once a week. Moving forward, the game is too laggy and has too many dropped inputs for me to care at this point to really play it more. It's sad because it wasn't like that until I hit Master, and now that I'm in Master, the connections just aren't as good as they used to be. I think it's because there's fewer players in Master, so you have a smaller player pool, and you end up having worse connections no matter what. Plus, the vast majority of people I play in Master are playing crossplay on PC, and PC just has this big advantage over console. It's just not fair. It's really reduced my enjoyment of the game, which sucks because I think the game is great and it is the best fighting game experience out there. It just sucks that they didn't find this real solution to the problem when you hit that level. What's weird is no other fighting games ever faced this before because no other fighting games had this good of a netcode. So because of that, every other fighting game is way laggier. So you don't even get to this point where you hit the wall and you realize connections aren't as good because they're always bad, right? So in this game, it's a problem that's good to have, but it's still a problem, right? So anyway, only one stream of that this week, Friday night. I don't even know who I'm going to use. It might be Dalsim. It might be Blanca. I might even try Honda again. I don't know. We'll see. Then on Saturday, okay, it's going to be more Resident Evil 0 Remastered, which I started yesterday, which was super good. In a nutshell, it's classic survival horror in a smaller, different setting in the intro on the train. But once you're off the train, you get to another mansion, and now you're just playing Resident Evil again. Like, it feels like I'm playing classic Resident Evil, which I love, you know? So that's a great thing that, basically, I've only played this game once. It was 8 years ago. And I don't really remember, at all, honestly, the playthrough. I remember certain things about it. Like, I remember one or two things from being on the train. I remember in the mansion, I'm in this room now with these cranks and a long staircase, and for some reason, I remember that in my head. Like, I remember there's going to be a boss or something in there. Like, it can't. When I walked into the room, I got these creepy vibes like, oh shit, there's something in here. But I guess it doesn't show up right away because it didn't. So, it's weird because this is a playthrough that I really, again, I don't really remember that well. And so for me, it's like cool because I feel like I'm kind of playing the game for the first time again. it's definitely different with a modern audience with interactivity as well than it was 8 years ago. So anyway, great playthrough so far. Really enjoyed it yesterday. More of that coming Saturday. And then Saturday night, we're going to do more Sea of Stars because we finished Like a Dragon Gaiden yesterday, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, by the way. We get to do Sea of Stars Saturday night, which is exciting. Sunday is my odd day out. On Sunday, we're going to do the React show, DSP versus the Internet, the first one of the new year. If you're a channel member, please post up your videos for that show in the appropriate threads. And Sunday night, no stream. Why? Because Sunday night, I am doing private patron React videos, and I have three to make this month. So because of that, I need the time. And on top of that, with the little bit of extra time that I'll have that night, I'm going to work on the year-end series, which are going to now be on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Okay, so no stream on Sunday night. It's just going to be the React show. Then Monday, it's more Baldur's Gate 3, and Monday night, it's going to be the most disappointing games of the year countdown, where for 2 hours, we go through every game that I felt had potential and was super disappointing in 2023. It should be a great countdown. It's usually everyone's favorite. Then on Tuesday, it's going to be more Resident Evil 0 Remastered, and it's going to be both your choice, the viewer's choice best playthroughs of 2023, and my Game of the Year awards. Each will be about an hour long, okay? So if you're wondering, it is official. As of last night, I created 2 polls for you to vote on your favorite playthroughs of the year. In fact, the links just popped up into the chat right now. So if you have not seen those links yet, please go vote. I think it's around 600 to 700 people have voted on each poll so far. But obviously, we have until next Tuesday for you guys to vote. So a little under a week left for you guys to vote. Please do. And that's going to be fun to see. I can tell you right now, all right, it's going to be very different than my Game of the Year picks. Because people like things differently than I do. You know, just because I thought a game was great doesn't mean you did. Just because I thought it was the best game of the year doesn't mean you enjoyed it as much as another playthrough. So, very curious to see how different and unaligned, or how aligned, our thoughts are about what were the best things that I did last year, okay? So, that's coming up Tuesday, and then Wednesday of next week will be more gameplay and the like. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just get there when we get there, right? And then for the rest of the month, it's going to be Baldur's Gate 3, Resident Evil 0, Sea of Stars, a little bit of Street Fighter. And then we'll see what we have time for on the late streams, because we'll probably have 1 or 2 weeks left before we get to the new releases. What do you want to do? We could have open streams where we just do random stuff. We could have some special events. We could do a little mini game. You know, like people have tossed out some indie games and stuff. We'll figure it out to balance with Sea of Stars on late streams. Okay? Cool. All right. So that's that. Now, a couple of quick things to talk about. People are wondering, someone just literally just asked, so did he beat Like a Dragon Gaiden last night? How did it go? I did beat it last night. I stayed late to do it by about an extra half hour to 40 minutes. I'll just say this because I don't want to spoil the ending. I did not do any more Coliseum. Basically, I had my fill after doing 3-4 hours of the Coliseum. I was like, this is ridiculous. It's too much of a grind. It's too much of a time waste. I just want to see how the game ends. So we did, and it was a great ending. But I'll tell you this. I was massively over-leveled for the ending. And I'm playing it, I'm like, how is it that I'm literally destroying the ending of this game? Why did they want me to level up even more to finish the Coliseum? How did it even make sense? So basically, as I described already, when they made this game, you can tell the different groups of the dev team worked on different parts. One group worked on the Coliseum, one group worked on the story, and they never, the creative director of the game, never made sure that the two were in line. That Coliseum requires you to do way too much grinding and leveling to the point where you're so overpowered you don't need it for the story, and you just steamroll the rest of the story. It doesn't make sense. Like, why is it not in line? If anything, if you're doing the Coliseum, it should reward you and make the story easier, but not to the point where now you, like, fart and you kill entire groups of enemies. Like, literally, that's what it was. I was just completely steamrolling the end of the game. Like, the combat was a joke. Because some people were like, oh, it's going to take you 2-3 hours to beat, and it took me 90 minutes. And they're like, oh, it's because every fight, like, you just destroyed everyone with 2 hits. Like, yeah, because the Coliseum overleveled me. It was ridiculous. I don't understand why they didn't balance it. It just doesn't seem to make much sense, right? Anyway, the ending was very emotional. I'm super happy that I played this game because this is a perfect bridge between Yakuza 7, or Like a Dragon, and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which we're playing in 3 weeks. If I didn't play this, this is a integral, important part of the story that would have been missed. Do you see? So I'm excited for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth now. I'm like pumped for this game coming out later this month. And I'm happy that I played Like a Dragon Gaiden to bridge the two. And I want to say, if you didn't see the playthrough, please check it out. It's really good. The ending is incredibly emotional and important. Without any spoilers at all, it totally is worth the journey. Let's put it that way. The 30-plus hour journey that I took to get there, it was totally worth it. All right? It's good stuff. So, yeah, we finished that, which is great. It prepares us for everything to come. Okay? So I talked, let me think. I'm trying to check off in my head all the things I needed to talk about before we got to the topic at hand. So I talked about the new polls for your favorite playthroughs of the year. I talked about the adjourning of, or the conclusion of Like a Dragon Gaiden. I feel like there's one other thing that I wanted to talk about that I'm forgetting right now. And I hope that I don't completely forget about it once I start talking about the other topic. Okay? I guess that's, if anything else comes to mind, I'm sure I'll think of it, you know, but for now, I think we've kind of covered the important stuff. So, all right. Oh, that's right. One other thing. For some reason, okay, I am not getting all the tip notifications from when you guys are contributing, and I want to apologize. This is the second day in a row now that it's affecting me. So 2 days ago, I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, and we're in the midst of the Goblin Camp. We're doing these big fights or whatever. We're 5 minutes until the end of the stream, and someone says, Phil, I sent you a big tip like an hour ago, and you never shouted it out. Did you get it? And I was like, oh, no, really? So I went and I checked, and it was there, but I never got a notification for it. So obviously I felt awful, because this is someone who should have not only gotten credit for their contribution, but we should have had like a reward tier awarded and everything, and we didn't get it. So yesterday I'm streaming Resident Evil 0, and all these contributions are coming in, and I'm shouting them all out. And then like an hour later, someone says, Phil, did you get my tip an hour ago? You never shouted it out. And I look, it's not in my notifications. I go check it. It's there. Why am I getting 90% of the notifications and not all of them? I have no idea. It certainly sounds like an issue with PayPal, because I check my emails and there's nothing wrong. There's no spam filter. They're not going to like a junk filter or anything. I'm just not getting the emails. So it sounds like there's some kind of a weird disconnect with PayPal, and I can't make that work. This has happened before, but usually it's like something that'll happen for a day and then it fixes itself. This has now been going on for like a week, where every day people are like, damn, Phil didn't shout out my contribution. I wonder what happened. Trust me, guys, it's not because I'm not grateful. It's not because I don't want to talk about, you know, whatever you're talking about. It's because I don't even know. So today, if you tip me and I don't shout it out within, say, 15, 20 minutes, definitely let me know in the chat, tag me, and say, hey, Phil, just so you know, I tipped and you didn't get it. Now, here's the thing. This really applies to regulars, because some people, sadly, are trolls. They come in here and they'll do that shit all the time. And like, oh, I tipped. And, of course, they didn't. They're full of shit. You know, they're just trying to derail the chat. So if any, you know, random person comes in here and starts spamming the chat, I'm not going to pay attention to them. But for those of you who are regulars here, especially today, Baldur's Gate 3, there's a regular crowd that comes by for this playthrough and tries to support it. If you notice I'm not shouting out your contribution, please let me know. I want to definitely give you credit and attention and gratitude for your support of my content. This is my bread and butter, right? That's how I make my living, is your live stream contributions. And I don't want it to sound like I'm not grateful because I'm not shouting it out, you know. And before some people says, oh, why don't you have everything automated? Number one, I can't, okay? Basically, through nonsensical trolling years ago, this was like many years ago, you know, when people were basically doing, a lot of nonsensical negative campaigns against me on the internet. Remember, years ago, I got kicked out of the Twitch partner program and stuff like that. They did the same thing everywhere. They did the same thing to Teespring, so I can't make shirts. They did the same thing to every service out there. And basically what it is, they made they made a package of toxic stuff that I said 14 years ago. You know, my original YouTube stuff from back in the day, where I would say things that could be considered today as either racist or bigoted or sexist, you know. And they took the worst of the worst and made a package of it and just sent it everywhere. Oh, this is the person that you have in your business right now. But it's over a decade old. I don't do that stuff anymore. I've learned, I've apologized for that behavior and the mistakes of the past, right? But they act like that's what I did today. So all these businesses and services basically said, you can't use us anymore. So that's the thing, like, in regards to having automated pop-ups and automated tracking of things like tips and stuff, I can't even use it. I have to manually do it, which is fine, by the way. I'm okay with manually doing it because that ensures that I am giving credit where credit is due and every contribution gets shouted out. I'm not some ginormous streamer who's getting 5,000 contributions an hour and I can't shout them out. You know, with the level of that I have and the stature that I have, I'm totally good with manually shouting out every contribution that comes in. And in fact, I want to do it that way. So that's why there's no automation available with this kind of stuff. I just have to do it manually. Bookworm says, I still want, I did nothing wrong coffee mug. You do realize, Bookworm, that's literally not what I just said, right? Like, I admitted I did stuff wrong in the past. I totally admit that. I 100% am telling you, in my past, I did these things because the internet was very different. It was kind of the Wild West. Nobody cared. There was no crowd micromanaging and judging every word that you say. There was no cancel culture back then. And people wanted that kind of content. Literally, the audience on YouTube wanted that content. That's what they were looking for. That's how I originally got popular, because I was known as the irreverent guy who will just say anything without any checks, right? But now, today, I'm different. I've changed. I've matured. You know, but I fessed up to my mistakes of the past. And that's why I think it's unfair that I get judged in 2023, I guess now in 2024, for things I did 15 years ago as if that's something I did yesterday. You know what I mean? A completely different guy. I don't do that stuff anymore. I've changed everything. There you go. Double M says, I saw your Revelations 1 playthrough. That was over a decade ago, right? It's filled with edgy teenage humor about girls' bodies. I'm glad you've changed. See? And that was constant. Like, I was known as the guy who always made these, like, cringe-worthy sexual references. And now I never do that. It's completely the opposite, right? There you go. Oh, no, Bookworm, I'm not saying, no, don't worry about that. No worries, all right? So there you go. Okay. So. My nose. Hold on. Itchiness of the nose. We're going to get to the topic at hand, but before we get to the topic at hand, all right, I just want to say thank you to everyone. I appreciate you all. We're going to now get into the topic everyone's been wanting to hear. I believe Ponage says, why don't you do shout outs before we get to the topic? Literally, I have one tip so far. That's it. There's nothing really to shout out. So I think we will get into the topic now that everyone wants to hear about. All right. And then we'll get to shout outs and Q&A after that. All right. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, here's the deal. Because the rumors have already hit the internet. There's already rumblings. There's already information out there. So I am here to basically clarify everything, to clear the air, and to let you know exactly what is going on. All right. Last year was a very drama-filled, nonsensical year for me, against my will and against my wishes, correct? I think we can all agree. Last year, there was a lot of very negative talk about me on the internet, in some cases from really big YouTubers, right? Now, in some cases, being very transparent here, when I got criticized by Moist Critical, and he was like, dude, I can't believe he's saying the things he's saying on his streams to his viewers about income and stuff like that. It seems very, disrespectful. He doesn't seem like he has any gratitude. You can't say that kind of stuff. That resonated with me. It struck a chord, correct? And I agreed with him after watching myself back. This is from like the fall of 2022, okay? After watching myself back, that stuff, I was like, he's right. He's absolutely right. I sometimes get so full of emotion, whether it's fear, because of finances and stuff like that, or it could be many different things. Anger when I'm playing Street Fighters, all these things. Whenever I get full of emotion, I tend to just go off the cuff and say things that I probably should not publicly say, right? And I should be called out for it, rightfully. However, I felt that at that point, there were too many people who had only heard the negative and had no idea about the positive about me. Obviously, if I'm here after 15 years and I have a community who watches me every day, likes my content and supports it, I'm doing something right, all right? I wouldn't still be here if I wasn't doing something right. There's people who are here for a good, positive reason. And I felt like it wasn't fair because these big YouTubers who always name drop me never examined that half of it. They only examine the negative because that's what gets thrown in their face by the toxicity of YouTube. That's how YouTube works. Promote the toxic, push the negative forward, right? And so I said, if you're going to talk bad about me, why not interview me? Correct? Like, why not just talk to me directly? Because if I felt like if someone would just have a conversation with me to see that I'm a real guy, I'm not just some asshole who you see the negative highlights of, but I'm actually just a real person, perhaps you'd think a little differently, all right? So I presented that to the internet, and basically the only people who contacted me were drama brokers and people who were looking to boost their own presence on YouTube. You know, it wasn't like a Moist Critical who reached out to me and said, yeah, let's do an interview. It was like Review Tech USA, you know, oh, let's do an interview. No, you already every day name drop me because you don't make your own content. You just make drama, and you name drop me for drama purposes. You have no content of your own. I'm not going to give you more free content. You're out of your mind, you see. I wanted to have a real conversation with someone, and it didn't happen, right? So then fast forward to March. And what happened was completely unrelated to anything in that realm of discussion, okay? Side Scrollers was a new podcast that was relaunching on the internet. It was a podcast that was run by Stuttering Craig, someone who in the past, over a decade ago, I had great dealings with. I would go to a convention as a guest when I was at the height of my YouTube popularity, and it was his convention. He had me there as a guest. Before then, I'd actually hung out with this guy at another convention, MagFest. I was a fan of their website 15 years ago, screwtack.com and stuff like that. So he had reached out to me and said, hey, I know we haven't talked in years, but we're looking for guests for our show. And I said, I'll be a guest, why not? And I saw their show, and their show is a variety show. Well, their show was a variety show where they would talk about games and news. Now it's not anymore. Now they've actually used my interview as a platform to change their show and get popularity, but we'll talk about that later. So basically, I say, I'll be a guest on your show, but then they completely changed the deal. The deal was originally, I'm just going to be a guest. We'll talk about variety of topics. It'll be a fun show. Then it becomes, oh, well, what we want to do is we want to be the exclusive place for you to finally get that interview that you've always wanted. Well, I didn't really always want an interview. I only wanted the interview because people were talking so negatively about me, right? So I was promised that this was going to be a fair interview where I was going to be able to say my piece about all this stuff that people say about me over the years. And then after the interview, basically, I was going to get to be a guest on the show. That I needed to get through this interview first, but once I did, I could be a guest, and it would be just like everyone else who'd been on the show. At that point, for over a month, people had been guests on the show. No one else had to go through an interview, just me, okay? So I do this interview, okay? I get paid nothing for this interview, for the record. It's just me giving them over 5 hours of my time. Come to find out, was this a fair interview? No. All they had done was talk to all of my haters and detractors for like weeks. Got all of their negative side of the story, literally never spoke to a single person about the positive side of things. All they did was research negative shit about me. And so they went into the interview with the mindset that they wanted to get me to confess to all these heinous things that I had done over the years. Wow, that's a great way to approach an interview, isn't it? They lied and told everyone that the next day after the interview, they were going to have a decompression show where they play games, and then they were going to have a follow-up interview with me later. None of that happened after the interview. Instead, they did a hit piece on me. Basically, for a whole day, they just crapped on me and made all negative references and took in a ton of money, thousands of dollars they received from my detractors and haters. Not only that day, but they continued to milk this for weeks on end and months. It was months later. Stuttering Craig was trying to get me on the show or get onto my content. He wanted to play Street Fighter 6 with me. This guy would not stop. Basically, he saw me as a big cash cow, and he wanted to keep riding those coattails. Now, since that show, all right, they have basically gotten some notoriety in the conservative political community, which is hilarious because when they started the show, they always said there was not going to be about politics. Now, the only attention they get is when they talk about politics, and they've turned it into a right-wing political show. That's their show now. All bolstered by when I was on it. And by the way, my interview continues to be the most watched thing they've ever done. The funny part about it is the interview never actually did anything in the realm of what I wanted. The whole point of the interview that I wanted to do was that people who don't know about me can watch the interview, learn, and then there's no questions anymore about that stuff. In the end, all that interview ever did was it went around my detractor circles. That's it. It didn't actually hit mainstream. No one really cared about that interview outside of the detractors. So it didn't really get to serve the purpose. But I'll say this, at the very least, basically all the bullshit about those negative things, those questions, those accusations, the conspiracies, it all went away. If you don't notice, no one really comes on my stream and talks about it anymore because I've already said my piece and I'm not wasting time anymore with that shit. I'm done with it. I told you guys, I'm done with those topics. We're done with it, right? So, after that, I made it my philosophy to stay out of drama. And I said, I'm not going to be doing any interviews. I'm not going to be doing any kind of anything with anyone. Even though people did reach out to me, oh, I want to interview Phil and this or that. Even, what's his name? Mudahar or whatever. He reached out to me. Oh, I'm going to pay you $5,000 for an interview. And I said, I don't want your money. I'll do an interview, but we're not talking about this drama. I've already addressed it. All the conspiracies are just that. I'm not wasting my time. If you want to have an intelligent discussion about interesting topics, I'll do it. The moment you bring up drama, I'm gone. And then he ghosted me and never contacted me ever again. Because all these people want is drama. They don't actually want to talk about facts like fucking mature adults. All they want is milk drama so they can make money on YouTube. They're all fucking greedy. So anyway, I stayed out of it. Completely, 100%. And I didn't address any more of this bullshit for the rest of 2023. And things went smoothly. However, there were still people who tried to pull me in, right? These idiots trying to get me to go on a fucking podcast that I was never involved in whatsoever, and they lied about that and tried to make shit up and talking shit about me. People making documentaries about me, right? Which is hilarious. The whole term documentary is hilarious because if all you do is research shit that's already on the internet and you regurgitate it into a 2-hour video and all you do is add a little bit of commentary, that's not a documentary. Everyone else did work for you. All you did was regurgitate the toxicity and the conspiracy. You added really nothing besides a little bit of commentary on top. That's not a documentary. It doesn't even add anything. All it does is kind of summarize all the negative shit people have said. So, with all that going on, right? People come, oh, will you do an interview with the guy who did the documentary and this or that? And ultimately I said, no, I'm not doing any of that, right? I'm staying out. And the funny part is, someone actually asked me a question last year, and it resonated with me. They said, you know, Phil, all these people on the internet are constantly talking negatively about you. Any of these people, do they ever actually, like, reach out to you to talk to you, right? Did they ever go to you for information or to get your side of the story or whatever? And I answered very honestly, no, not once. In all this time, 15 years I've been on YouTube and all the negative videos and the documentaries and everything done, not once has anyone ever made a legit effort to get my actual side of anything. Instead, it's always we believe all the toxic shit and just report the toxic shit and that's it. Even the Side Scrollers interview, which at first seemed like it was going to be neutral, was revealed to be an actual attempt to get me to basically fess up to shit I didn't do for their own purposes. They wanted to be the group to, oh my God, look, we did it. We got Dark Side Phil to spill the beans on everything and now we can be notable because of it, and it didn't work. Because it's not, the shit they were trying to get me to do wasn't true to begin with. So obviously it never was going to work. These people were fucked up, all right? So basically, I stayed out of all of this all year. But, all right, always in the back of my head, I'm always wondering, and I've told you guys this too, I don't think anyone's ever going to give me a fair shake on the internet. I just don't believe it. It seems like everyone is out for the drama. Everyone's out for personal gain. What's better? To completely spin something in a way that makes me look horrible for clickbait views that will benefit you, or to actually show me in a fair light. I'm not even saying show me in a positive light. I'm saying show me in a fair light to actually have another side of the story, to see what it's actually like from my perspective, to go through this, to live through all of this slander and nonsense that's happened to me for all these years, to just be a guy trying to get by with my community and having a good time and ignoring all the bullshit, and then having to hear that constantly this stuff is going on outside, right? So, basically, all right, I got contacted by someone who is a neutral party, someone who does not stand to benefit by actually portraying me in an incredibly negative way, because it wouldn't basically, let me put it this way. If you're someone who wants to actually make real content, if you're not someone who's a drama hound, if you're not someone who is, again, a Keemstar, a review tech, someone who all of your content is based on making someone look bad, correct? If you're someone who actually wants to make legit content, then you actually have to be fair. Because the moment that you're not, who else would ever want to work with you again, right? If you portray someone in an unfair way that makes them look awful, then no one else is ever going to want to work with you either. You understand? It has to be some way where you're actually being fair to the subject matter. All right? So, basically, I was contacted by Mike Klum, who recently did a documentary on Boogie. And before everyone freaks out about this, because I know a lot of people saw the Boogie documentary and were like, wow, that documentary was not positive. That documentary was very negative. It shows all the weaknesses of Boogie, all his shortcomings, the fact that he basically pissed his life away, all his money away, that he's a toxic guy who falls into drama and he has all these issues. You're right. But that's what they wanted to do with that documentary. You understand? That's actually what they wanted to portray in that documentary. That was the whole point. To show that side of his life, which I guess they felt had never been really revealed before. That's exactly what they were going for, okay? I was contacted by Mike, and he says, basically, this is fascinating. There's people out there who want to see a documentary about you, but he didn't know that much about me, okay? So, by the way, and just for the record, this was months ago. This was not yesterday. This was months ago, okay, where we actually began talking behind the scenes about stuff like this. And basically, through a series of conversations, okay, that I had with this guy, as I explained my story to him, he was basically like, so this is completely different from Boogie. Yeah, it's not even close. My life is nothing like his. I'm not in the situation he's in. You know, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, and other people can disagree, I feel like in my position is a much better position than his. You know what I mean? Like him, he's in horrible health. Financially, he's distraught. He can't make ends meet. He's desperate, which is why he's on things like this lolcow show where he's getting on his hands and knees and being mistreated by Keemstar to make money. He's in a real desperate way, right? That's very much not the case, okay, with me. I have a successful business. I enjoy coming to stream with you guys every day. I love what I do for a living. I'm making it happen. Right? I'm getting out of a horrible financial position in my life, which happened already, and I'm climbing out of it. It's slow progress, but it's definitely progress, right? My story is basically that even though I've made all of these improvements over the years, and I am not representative of what people make me out to be anymore. Maybe one day, 10, 15 years ago, I was really bad. I was obstinate, I was stubborn, I was stupid, I said and did awful things, right? And I got away with it, basically. And now here we are 15 years later, and I'm still able to run a business, albeit a much smaller scale business than what I used to do. But I'm still popular, I still have a fan base, and people still talk about me, right? The problem is constant misrepresentation. And you might say, well, I don't get it because you already have addressed everything. You're right. I have addressed all of the bullshit and nonsense out there. However, I addressed it here, right? And no one listens to me when I say it on my own content. No one. This is me talking to my audience who already, it's like, what do they call it? You're preaching to the choir. You guys already know the deal, right? The fact is, most people don't. There's no central place you can go on the internet for the story of Darkside Phil. It's this detractor content, this documentary that's way outdated and has outdated information, this documentary that just regurgitates the detractor conspiracy theories. There's literally nowhere you can go to say, I want to learn about Darkside Phil. Why does everyone talk about this guy? I don't get it. And get an actual answer that's fair and makes sense. Okay? And so, after having talked to Mike, all right, the idea that we came up with was to do a documentary that's going to, for the first time ever, and I'm going to say this, likely for the last time ever, cover my actual real story. Me growing up, what it was like, right? how I got into games, you know, what it was like when I was a kid. Asked my parents, you know, what was it like raising Phil and stuff like that, right? Going through the arcade days, going through the Street Fighter days, growing up in arcades, and how it became this kind of, how do they say, almost fraternity culture, and shit talking was encouraged, right? And how that carried into my competitive Street Fighter career in the 2000s, and how it became an innate part of who I was for a very long time. How eventually, after having a back injury and deciding to quit competitive Street Fighter, how that turned into a job becoming a YouTuber, right? And how I somehow got this popularity doing content on YouTube that not very many people were doing, right? The improv commentary style, and basically making it popular, right? I was the innovator of the video game playthrough back in the day. I was. But most people won't give me credit for that because they want to, oh, it was this person or this person. I was the person who made it mainstream popular on YouTube. And then everyone else decided to run with it and change it up and do it differently. But I was the guy who made that improv commentary style popular. All right? Then after that, you know, the entire story of how I became popular for a 2 or 3 year period. I was one of the top YouTubers. But then how this is how you don't play soured public opinion against me. How it turned the crowd against me and how that affected me. How these groups of detractors formed online social communities around hating on me, and how it changed everything, how they staged attacks against me to ruin the business, and how I went on a big decline as a result of stagnation and bad choices on my part, but just as much their actions as well. And basically doing all of that in a way that, number one, covers facts, but also is entertaining. Because ultimately, the last thing you want to do is have a documentary about someone that's boring, okay? That Boogie documentary is sad. I don't want to make a documentary about me that's sad. What's the point? I don't want people crying and having a sob story about Darkside Phil. My life is not a sob story. It's interesting. People have said, would you ever write an autobiography or whatever? Maybe one day I would, but I never really thought about that. And then when I start talking to Mike, he's like, no, your story is interesting. The more I hear, the more I'm hooked. I want to hear more things about you, you know, about how this journey happened or whatever. This is not a crying situation about how awful things are. My life is not awful, right? But it stands to reason that to actually have a fair documentary about me that covers everything, my whole history, not just the bullshit conspiracies and negative shit about me. Not to say that stuff won't be in it, but to cover everything fairly and, again, in an entertaining manner. That's really the key here, is to make something that you guys want to watch. That's not just for my haters. It's not just for my fans. It's actually for an outsider as well. Someone who's never heard of me, but you say, you know, I hear the name Darkside Phil every once in a while. I wonder about this guy. What about, you know, can I learn about him? This is the documentary you're going to watch. This hour or 2 hour, however long it ends up being. This is going to be your go-to piece of content to watch. All right? And you're going to watch it and say, okay, there you go. That's what he's about. And then you could judge for yourself. Hey, maybe you want to come by and check out my content based on the documentary. Or maybe you're zero interest and you'll never check me out. And that's okay too, right? But at the very least, this is really, it seems to me, okay, that this is the only chance that I really have to have a neutral party be involved in making something that actually is fair. That Side-Scroller's interview was a complete attempt at getting me to look bad and get me to confess to shit I didn't do. There was no point to doing it, but I didn't know that at the time. I was promised all these things, and it was all lies, all bullshit, right? The whole thing was basically a front for them to propel themselves to popularity, which, yeah, that really worked. But still, you get it? Like, something like this is different. And that's what I mean, like, what you guys don't understand, because I know some people are reacting negatively to it, and fair enough, and I understand why. Here's why. I've never gotten a fair shake before. Never. You're right. Every single person has screwed me over. Whoever tried to do something, right? So, that's the point. Now, here's the thing. Does this mean that there's no one going to be involved negatively? Of course not. They're going to be in there. Everyone's going to be in this thing. I mean it. Everyone who's is going to be in this damn thing. It's going to be entertaining for that very reason. But here's the thing. I get to respond to all the bullshit, right? When you get one of these talking head idiots on there saying something about me, I get to talk back. It's not just them yelling at their audience and their audience saying, hey, hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Instead, I actually finally get to respond to their bullshit, you see? And that's the point, is that this is my format to finally do it. I can respond to them, but if I respond to them here, no one hears it. If I respond to them in the documentary, now that same audience that just heard the toxicity gets to hear my response to it, you see? And again, I want you to understand something. This is not going to be ultra serious at all times. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a project that is going to have a lot of content in it, the kind of which you've not seen from me, okay? It's not just going to be me sitting here on my chair doing games and talking to you. What's the point? If literally the whole documentary was a bunch of shit about me and me just sitting here saying, well, here's the truth about that, here's the truth about that, that's boring. No one cares about that, right? So, that's going to be the difference here, all right? And my goal is that when this thing comes out, okay, when this thing comes out, I want it to be the final go-to source for people to learn about me and my story, and that's that. Because I don't want to hear any more bullshit from these people. Not to say that they're not going to continue, because they will. It will always continue. We know this, that these people are so desperate for content. When you have no talent, you have to milk others for content, correct? Because you have nothing to make for yourself, so you have to milk the world around you for content in a toxic way. They're never going to go away. But at the very least, once this story is out, it's done for me, and I can actually move on positively and say, you want answers about anything of my past or anything, go watch the Mike Klum documentary and leave me alone, because I'm moving forward with my audience here, right? Will anything positive come out of it? I don't know. We'll see. But the thing is, there's so much toxicity and negativity about me on the internet, I don't think it could hurt. Right? Really? Honestly? You guys are not going anywhere. You guys are here every day. You understand me and who I am and the content I put out. My core audience is going to be with me no matter what. You know the truth. I've already told the stories, right? You're going to get, even you guys are going to get some good stuff out of this documentary. Trust me. There's going to be funny scenes. There's going to be information you've never heard before. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be interesting stuff. All right? And again, I totally understand, because there's people in the chat right now who are like, I don't trust it. I think it's, I hear you. I understand, because we have, again, we as a community, and I've said this before, it's not just about me. It's about us, right? Everything that I do has an impact on everyone around me, and I know that. So when I did that Side Scrollers interview, it wasn't just a shitty situation for me. It was a shitty situation for the community for like 2-3 months, right? And I hear you on that. This is very different from everything that I'm involved with. It's professional, right? I've got, there's agreements in place. You know what I mean? Like, this is on the up and up going to be something that's going to be fun and fair. I'm not saying this, by the way, by no means whatsoever is this kind of a kiss my ass thing either. I want you to understand that. That's not the point. It's not supposed to be a documentary where Phil just looks good constantly. I'm a flawed human. I've made many mistakes over the years, being a YouTuber way before then as well, and I've fessed up to them. The thing is, no one hears that. No one hears that Phil admitted he did something wrong. Instead, it's just, he's this pig-headed guy who says that he's the best guy ever, right? That's not the case, but no one hears the truth. You understand what I'm saying? So, I don't think you need to worry as much as you do, especially because, as I said, I'm in a situation here where it's very different from everything else. It's not, it's just an interview, it's just this or that. This is a situation where it's going to be done in a very professional way, all right? And it's going to actually give my side. It's going to give exclusive information and stuff that you haven't heard. It's going to be very different. Let's put it that way, all right? And by the way, because I know some people are really worried about this, it's something that's not happening right away. This is something that is going to take months and months to put together. Something of this scale and magnitude. This is basically kind of a Netflix level hour-long documentary about me, and it's going to take a lot of time. There's going to be filming. There's going to be all kinds of things that's going to happen. So to be transparent with all of you, yes, this is going to affect me this year. There's going to be filming around here. There's going to be filming in studios. You know what I say? It's going to be a high-level thing. This is not fucking around and just doing a few video clips edited together like all the other documentaries about me. This is actually a real product. You understand? So coming up, and I don't have all the information yet. I will let you know. Okay. Basically, this is going to be a situation where I have to take a little bit of time away from streaming. Some of my streams will be affected. Obviously, they're going to want to film me at work to see me at what I'm doing to put that into the documentary, right? There's going to be a few days where I'm not going to be able to stream because I'm going to have to go film a bunch of stuff, right, in a studio or other places or whatever. So when I know all about that stuff, all right, I'm going to let you guys know what's going on. So you'll know, okay, this week, guys, 2 days, I'm not going to be here on stream because I'm going to be off filming. And then I'll be back, right? And also, I would just want to let you guys know, I can't be spoiling this thing constantly because people are going to constantly be bombarding me with questions. So what's going to be in it? And what's going to be this? And what's going to be that? And what, you know what I mean? You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be spoiling the whole dang thing. I know a lot of people want that. I'm not going to spoil the whole, what's the point of it if I tell you everything we're doing in it, right? So if from time to time, as I'm working on it over the course of 2024, there's some stuff that I want to share with you. Maybe there's a behind the scenes clip or video that I want to share, or a picture or something to show you, hey, we're working together and here's, you know, you know what I'm saying? Then we should absolutely do that to share, but it's not going to be spoiling the entirety of the whole thing. There's a ton of things in here you're not going to hear about at all till it comes out. It's going to be 100% under wraps, exciting stuff you're only going to see in this documentary. Again, the whole point is to get everyone who wants to learn about me to watch this thing. I think it's going to be fascinating to see my story and then to see how people have reacted to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at all these people on the internet who crap on Phil, right? But for what? Right? It's fascinating. And also, one of the things that I want to get out of it, I can't wait to hear how I want to hear people's take on, like, what they think I do wrong and how I can actually improve. Because that's the funny part, is everyone always wants to constantly crap on you, but no one actually wants to help you. You know what I'm saying? You're doing everything wrong. Okay, so what should I be doing that would be right? Be just like you? Maybe I don't want to be you, right? Not everyone wants to be exactly the same. So there's going to be a lot of interesting things out of this, right? There is, absolutely. So basically, there's going to be tons of different stuff in this thing. Tons, all right? And as I said, I'll let you know when I have more information, okay? I don't have all the information right now. You know, we have to, basically have to get to the point where things are hashed out dates-wise, so I can tell you. I can tell you right now, it won't even be soon. Like, it'll probably, at the earliest, a couple of months before we even start work on this thing when it comes to, like, filming and in-person stuff. So it's not like, oh, well, you just gave us a schedule for the month and now everything's different. No. This probably won't even be until, you know, maybe some work in March, April, and then probably some more. And from what I'm going to understand time frame wise, this is something that's going to come out much later in the year. This is not something that's, again, this is a professional level thing. This is not something rushed out in a month and it's just edited clips. That's not the intention, okay? So this is a big endeavor. You know, I told you guys I have a lot of things in process for 2024. DSP Throwback is one of them, and that's the one that's coming the soonest. This documentary about me is another one, and that's coming later, much later in the year. Like I would, you know, maybe summer, maybe fall. I don't know. It depends on a lot of factors. You know, there's a lot of stuff involved, you know, schedule-wise and everything. So we'll have to see. But just so you know, it's coming. And when more stuff is available to talk about, specifics and stuff that we're ready to talk about, I'm sure Mike and I will tell everybody, okay? So you can ask me questions, but chances are I'm not going to answer a lot of these questions until specifics are hashed out and we're ready to talk about it. Because I feel like a lot of the times people want to just get everything in early. I'm not going to tell you everything early, right? But just to make this perfectly clear, this is not the Boogie documentary at all. This is not the intention of the Boogie documentary. That whole documentary had a different vibe and a different take to it, and that's where basically Boogie and Mike wanted to go with that. And this is completely different. I made it very clear up front. I'm not Boogie. I'm not some sad story where we're going to be talking about how awful my fucking life is and everything. I don't want a sob story documentary. There's no sob story. My life is good. I have a good life every day. I have a great time with my audience. We all have a bunch of fun, you know. All the idiots outside of my streams are the ones who are miserable, have to talk shit all day, not me. I have a great time with my life. So, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing in this that's going to be, oh my God. Not to say that we're not going to touch upon serious stuff from my past. You guys know about my history. You know about all the problems and trials and tribulations I've been through, business-wise and personal. You know, I've told you all these stories before, but again, this is going to be the focused place where I talk about it, right? All at once. And if you want to know anything about Darkside Phil, this is where you go for it. And as I said, my intention is that this is it. Once this is done, because this is a lot of time and effort and work going into this thing. This is going to be time away from my work, time away from streams for you guys. Once this is done, that is that. You know what I'm saying? That is that. It's done. It's, you know, I'm not doing another one of these damn things. Unless, like, aliens land and I have a story of how I won and I fought the aliens or something. You know what I mean? Like something wild. This is my story to be told. And after this, I just want to continue to do what I love for a living and not have to bother with this shit anymore. You know? But I feel like this is my fair chance to have a fun, informative, interesting documentary be made about me, rather than it just be hit piece, hit piece, hit piece, hit piece, or even worse than that. You want to know what's worse than a hit piece? Because here's the thing. With a hit piece, all right, you can tell when it's a hit piece, right? When you watch someone who really doesn't like someone and they're making negative content, you can tell this is a hit piece, and you're not going to have normal people watch a hit piece. The only people who watch that stuff are people who actually don't like the person already, and they just kind of want to laugh at piling on, right? There's tons of people out there who don't like me. Their entire existence on the internet is anti-Phil. What's worse than a hit piece is someone who presents themselves as if they're a neutral party and doing it fairly, but literally all they do is regurgitate the conspiracy and toxicity that the hit piece people did. But they'll, oh, you see, well, this is what everyone says about them. Yeah, but all you did was regurgitate the bad. Did you actually say anything good? Did you talk to a single person about good stuff about me? Or did you only just literally regurgitate the same boring shit that everyone said for the last 10 years? So why'd you even make your fucking video besides circle jerking yourselves into those communities for more milking of money? Because the funny part is they say lol cows, right? But the thing is, when as much as they say they're milking someone for content, you want to know who they're really milking? The detractors. Every moment that one of those people make one of those documentaries, all they're doing is milking the detractors for their views and money. Because my fans don't care. I don't care. I don't even watch it. It's them that they're milking, not me. Yeah, sure, it's about me, but you literally didn't even say anything new. All you did was regurgitate the toxic shit, and you milk them for money and views, not me. It doesn't come from me. You know what I'm saying? So in this case, yes, this documentary will absolutely address some of the conspiracies and toxic things that are said about me. 100% those will be addressed. But at the same time, there's going to be the more fair human aspect to it, addressing me as a person, my history, what I stand for, what kind of content I put out today versus what everyone claims I put out 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be very, very different, all right? So, like I said, I will have way more information about this as it develops. Right now, it's too early to give you any specifics, nor would I really want to give you specifics, because that would give away too much, you know? And I'm going to have meetings with Mike where we're going to plan and discuss things, and then we're going to have filming sessions and stuff, and I'm going to keep you all in the loop on that so you know what to expect with all of that, because I want you to know when I'm going to be here, when I'm not going to be here, you know, what's going on, okay? And like I said, there will absolutely be stuff that will likely be shared with you over the course of the year, whether it's I could put out an exclusive clip on the channel as a preview of something that will be in this project, and to get you guys hyped up for it. Because, again, it's not just for people who don't like me. It's not just for people who like me. This is for everyone. This is supposed to be a video you can watch, and you will learn all kinds of stuff about me if you just heard the name Darkside Phil. Maybe you only saw one clip of me ever and you want to hear my story. That's what the point of this documentary is, you see? So there you go. So now the beans have been spilled to the point where at least you have a general understanding of what this is going to be. All right? And again, the funny part about this is when people say stuff like, well, you know, I think that Mike is going to try to screw you. How? Like, why would he do that? Because if he does, who else would ever work with this guy ever again? Right? If Mike becomes known as the guy who screws people when he makes a documentary about them, well, who would ever want to work with Mike ever again? Do you think he's doing it for a one-off video and he's running and never making content ever again? That doesn't make any sense. He wants to make good content that everyone's happy, right? That's the point. So there you go. Okay? All right, so anyway, that's that. Now, I have a few quick shout-outs to do. We're going to get through those, and I'm sure you guys are going to probably have questions, and I'll field your questions for as much as I possibly can. But again, all right, basically, what I want to do is answer as much quick, but I want to kind of get this out of the way. When I start playing Baldur's Gate, I want to play Baldur's Gate. When I play Sea of Stars, I want to play Sea of Stars. That's the whole point of us doing this podcast, was to talk about this now, and go from there, okay? And by the way, Abdullah says, I'll call this out now. Trying to prove anything to people is a waste of time. It's better to move on with your life. You're right. Again, I'm telling you, that's not the point. This is not Phil's debunkery and for an hour. That's not the point of this documentary. It's a real documentary. See, here's the thing. You guys are completely misunderstanding because you have only seen toxic shit about me on the internet. That's the difference here. When you hear, oh, it's a documentary about Phil, and you turn it on, the whole thing's negative stuff about me for 2 hours. Oh, well, you know, all right. So is this documentary going to be Phil just responds to that for 2 hours? No. No. It's real. This is a real documentary, and this is, again, what people don't get because you haven't seen a real thing about me yet. You literally haven't seen one. I would say the closest one that came to this was the Frederick Knudsen documentary from many, many years ago. But that got a lot wrong, had limited information, right? It was, and by the way, it's incredibly outdated at this point, you see? So there you go. I agree with Abdullah. If this entire thing was 2 hours of me directly responding to people shitting on me and just saying, oh, that's wrong, there's no point. You're absolutely right. Then there would be no point to doing it. Zero. But that's not what this is going to be. I'll tell you that right now. Okay? Okay. All right, so let's do some shout-outs. All right. And then I'm sure you guys are going to have some questions, right? So let's do some shout-outs first of all. It looks like Snow Carl re-upped his membership for 19 months. He says he likes my wardrobe. I've matured. This is my other Nautica sweater. I own 2 Nautica sweaters. Both of these are 15 plus years old. These are from the office days when I used to work at the helicopter company. So this is the other one. I wore the other one yesterday and everyone freaked out. So yeah, these will be in my rotation as the weather permits. So thank you, Snow Carl. Dr. Oink with the super chat says, you like Flyleaf or Paramore? No, I don't think so. I don't even recall them. I think they're bands, right? But I don't think I remember their music very much. And Little Shake and Bake did a super chat this morning. Thank you, Little Shake and Bake. We'll swing over to some tips. Okay. Let's see here. Snow Carl took me $1. Says, I remember you had a very negative opinion on Baldur's Gate earlier this year. No, I didn't. I've not followed the playthrough, but have you changed your mind? No, because I didn't have a negative opinion of it. You don't know what you're talking about. So thanks for the $1 tip. Seriously, when I hear nonsense like that, I'm just going to say, sorry, Snow Carl. You don't know what you're talking about. I never chat-talked Baldur's Gate 3, ever. I always said it was probably a fine game, but I didn't think it would fit into my content, and now here we are, okay? So Anime Slayer tipped me $1 and says, Mike seems neutral, but this seems like it's revolving around drama. I don't see how telling my life story is all about drama. I wish you'd stick to your guns about staying out of drama. Again, will there be some fun stuff in this and funny stuff? Yes, there will. It's not ultra serious. It's not a 1 hour boring go to sleep documentary, but it's also not an hour long hit piece against me, but it's not an hour long kiss my butt. It's an hour long interesting piece about my actual life history. That's mostly, I would say, would make more sense for outsiders. But for those who like me, you're going to like it. For those who don't like me, you're likely going to like it. Like, everyone I think would like it, right? But this is not, again, people are getting the wrong idea. You have seen only content about me that's purely negative. And so when you see content about me that's only purely negative, you immediately say, so this is just going to be nonstop drama. No. I mean, I don't think so. I think it's going to be eye-opening. I think there's going to be a lot of information that people didn't know that finally, oh, okay, now I get that. Now I finally understand that, right? I've heard about that, but I don't get that. And you know what I'm saying? I think it's a lot different. I do. I think it's a lot different than what people are thinking it's going to be because you've only seen that one thing, right? Okay. Let's continue. I received a $20 tip from 1 Minute Man. He's talking about Baldur's Gate 3. So thank you, 1 Minute Man, for the $20 contribution. And let's see what he has to say. Oops, I was putting it in the wrong spot. If I could type today, apparently I can't. Okay. So 1 Minute Man says, in confined spaces, you can place crates or movable objects to block enemy access to ladders and doorways, keeping them locked in or away from you. Also, gunpowder barrels can take out multiple enemies without missing. Collect them. Yeah, I don't understand that because I don't know how to move stuff in the environment. I don't have a mouse and keyboard. So I don't know, like, I can't click and drag. Like, it doesn't exist in the game for me. So I don't know how to move stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically, I think that there's a lot of mechanics in this game that PC players are used to, but I don't know how on earth that would translate into, the game on console, right? Like, I know you could pick objects up and place them down. I'm aware of that, but I don't actually know how to move. I could lift it and put it in my inventory. I can place it down in the environment by walking and dropping, but I don't know how you would, like, move something exactly. Like, let's say, for example, I wanted to stack boxes. How do I do that? It seems like that's a tutorial in itself, is it not? And the game has never explained that, right? I'm sure it's a viable mechanic that a lot of people who've played this game have practiced and learned, but how do you do it? The game didn't explain it, right? Do you have to put everything into your inventory and then find a way to walk to a spot and manually place it in front of you? Do you throw? Because you can throw. Could you throw the objects? Are the objects too heavy to throw? You see what I mean? Like, maybe this will be very viable in certain parts. Like when I'm trying to get through rooms and I can't reach platforms. You're probably right. I just don't understand exactly how it works. And I'm curious, you know? JDTV re-upped his membership for 7 months. He says, do you know if Mike plans to interview John Rambo? I'm sure Mike is going to be reaching out to lots of people. Whether or not those people decide to actually be involved in the project is up to them and him, you know, not me. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, you guys know my take on John Rambo, right? We worked together for many years. We were friends. When I moved, the friendship eroded. Basically, he felt like the only reason we were friends was for work. I disagree, but I probably came across in the wrong way, and that's my fault, and I fessed up to that. We haven't spoken since 2015, right? So it's been almost 9 years. At this point, there's no friendship there. There's no discussion to even be had between me and him. Now, if Mike reached out to John Rambo and said, hey, I'd like to interview you about the years that you worked with Phil, and he says, yeah, I'll do that, then great. What's wrong with that? I have no problem with that. I told you, I've already kind of fessed up to the things that I've done wrong. I know that I mismanaged my friendships and relationships in the past. I've said as much. 2 years ago, I reacted to the John and Howard slam video, whatever you want to call it. And I told you how that was the first time I'd ever heard that stuff from them. I didn't have any concept that was how they felt. I feel awful about it, right? And it sucks because if I had known that stuff at the time, I probably could have changed the way that things were going. But it was never really clearly explained to me, which is hilarious because in that video, they claimed they said time and time again. It's like, yeah, but everything you said was different. First, we're talking about Project 7. Then we're talking about a comment about a Project 7 video. Then we're talking about something completely unrelated. But you act like it was a line of stuff that was happening over and over that didn't. Like, that's not how it actually happened. But the point I'm making here is, I made those mistakes. This is 9+ years ago, last time I talked to the guy. Anything they interview him about is going to be about my ancient past, and he has the right to speak up if he feels like it. Yeah. If Mike wanted to reach out to John Rambo, why on earth would I be like, oh no, So it's really up to him and who he wants to talk to and who wants to talk to him. Because you got to understand another thing too, is that a lot of people from my past are just that. They're from my past. And now that they're out of this whole public eye, right? Maybe one of the major reasons why John doesn't want to ever be involved ever again is because he doesn't want to be in the public eye. He likes having a private life. This is very different. Me being on the internet in front of you every day is very different than what my life was before I was a YouTuber, right? And I think some people, they see that, they get that exposure, and then they realize it's not what they wanted, and they just want to have a private life again, and they don't want to have drama, right? So I wouldn't be shocked if tons of people from my past say they don't want to be involved whatsoever because they just don't want to be drawn into that. They got their own good thing going on with their lives. Why do they need to be drawn back into this internet drama vortex, right? That would be my take, but that's up to them. And if they want to be a part of it, that's up to them too, right? Even though this is a documentary about me, I also want you to understand that I am not ultimately 100% controlling everything. I'm not being like, so by the way, let's outline every single piece of the documentary, right? And I'm going to tell you if I like it and if I don't. And if I don't like it for some reason, we're just striking it completely from this documentary. No. I mean, already, one of the reasons you guys know that Mike is doing this documentary is because he's already reached out to detractors. He's reached out to other people who talk shit about me all the time because he wants to have those takes in the documentary. He wants to hear from that community to understand why they don't like me. You see? He wants everything. That's the point of a real documentary, is that you get all sides. Not it's just one-sided to this or one-sided to that. It's that you get all takes. You understand? So there you go. Will I have a say when it comes to the final cut of the documentary? Yes, particularly when it comes to privacy. Obviously, when you're doing a documentary about something, right? Or about someone, I should say, there's got to be things that have to be left private. You can't just have someone just, walking around filming everything and it just hits the internet. There's stuff that obviously, I've told you guys, there's been situations where I film in my kitchen and I accidentally left a statement on my countertop for my utility bill. And my detractors contacted the utility company, impersonated me, and tried to have my power shut off, right? So you can just imagine, right? You could just imagine the nonsense that could happen if they're filming and something accidentally gets revealed. You know what I'm saying? And now there's trouble. So that's the thing. Like, yes, there's going to be filming. They're going to be filming me working. There's going to be all this stuff. But ultimately, we're going to be reviewing all of it. All right? And it's going to be made sure that nothing bad is that's harmful or anything like that would be in there. I don't care about someone giving an opinion. If he interviews someone and they have a negative opinion about me, I don't give two shits. That's the whole internet anyway, right? Like, the whole internet's full of that shit. But I do care if someone comes on not someone comes on, if something is filmed that now is going to be revealing and is going to get me in, some kind of trouble because detractors now have information that they could use to hurt me and my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the stuff you got to be careful about, right? So there you go. All right, we have a million things going on here. FizzGig did a super chat. Will Cat and Jasper be in the doc? At this point, all right, we're in planning stages. Nothing's been filmed. Ideas are being discussed. and things like that, absolutely nothing is certain. Sure, certainly, you know, I know people would want to see everyone who's part of my family unit be in this. But I'm not going to promise anything. You know me, I don't overpromise and underdeliver, right? That's me. That's my thing. I don't want to do that. So I am not going to tell you guys one thing and then have it not happen. So specifics on stuff like that, I'm simply put not going to make any promises. You know, once we get stuff solidified, once we get things written, once we get stuff planned to be filmed and everything, then I'll give you a perfect example. I would love to have Jasper in this as a segment, but here's the problem. Jasper is deathly afraid of visitors. Whenever someone comes to this house, he runs and hides under the bed. And it doesn't matter if it's someone coming for maintenance, a Comcast technician, anybody. Literally anyone who comes to this house, he hides under the bed the whole time. And then he waits for them to leave, and then he comes out. And we've tried coaxing him and making him feel... He's literally a scaredy cat around strangers. So would I love to have a segment with Jasper? Yes. I don't know if there's a person in here or people in here with cameras and stuff, if he's even gonna come out to play. You know what I'm saying? And he's an indoor cat. He's not leaving this house. You have to understand that. I'm not taking him to a studio to film the guy. You know, he has to be at home and safe. So, you know, that's what I mean. Like, we're so early in these stages. I can't promise you guys stuff about stuff like that, right? Truth is, you guys see him a lot on streams. Like, a few days a week, he's on streams, dancing around here, jumping on my chair and everything, right? But, okay, so guys, I got a lot more to shout out. I knew this was going to happen. I knew that the podcast was going to go extra, extra long today. I have received an incredibly generous tip. I wondered, was this intentional? Lil Shake and Bake, did you intend to send me this much? I just want to be sure, because this is crazy. Like, this is one of the biggest contributions I've received in a long time. I just want to be sure that this is real, and you didn't accidentally add in some zeros. Okay. You intended to send that. Okay. Lil Shake and Bake has sent me a $200 tip this morning. 200 smackaroos. Wow. Thank you so much, Lil Shake and Bake. That's crazy. All right. I'm not even kidding. That's one of the biggest tips I've received in ages. I think the last time I got a tip that big was June of last year for the launch of Street Fighter 6. So thank you. Let's play you the ginormous animation, which I didn't even think I would be playing. And that means you guys get to vote on a hat. As for a vest, I have to wear a very light vest because I'm already wearing a sweater today. So I'll make the light vests eligible. Let's certainly get Lil Shake and Bake up here on the leaderboard, okay? So suffice it to say, we hit our goals for today when it comes to tips. So there you go. Thank you so much, Lil Shake and Bake. Let's get the first poll going, and then we'll read what he has to say. Again, because I'm wearing a sweater, I don't want to wear a heavy hat today either. Let's do a few, like, this one I haven't done in ages. See, I don't want to wear the bender hat. It's too hot. I want to wear lighter hats. Something that doesn't cover my ears, because that actually heats me up. So, see, I think I just wore the beret. I just wore the fedora. Crap. It's like every hat's going to warm me up. And I'm already wearing a sweater. I certainly wasn't expecting this level of support today, obviously. Hold on. Oh, let's see. See, everything covers my ears. It's going to warm me up because I'm wearing this thing. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Oh, okay. Here's an interesting thing. That's an option that I don't think I've ever even really done. I'm going to put that in there. I don't think I've ever done that before. And what's that? I don't want to cover. All right, I'll put that in there too. Oh, okay, I know what to put in there. That's right. There's a hat also I haven't done it in ages. All right, so here we go. Okay, so Little Shake and Bake says the following. I'm excited for the documentary and for your Super Bowl marathon. That's right. Remember, I'm going to do a Super Bowl event coming up the day before the Super Bowl. I watch a lot of documentaries. It'll be cool to see one about someone I'm a fan of. Do you have childhood videos that could be included in the documentary? It would be awesome to see you opening your NES on Christmas. There are no videos from when I was a kid. Very well, my parents might have photos because they used to take pictures all the time, and they have those photo albums. But we never had a video camera. You know, I wasn't rich or anything growing up. Video cameras were super expensive in the 80s and 90s. If you weren't aware, they were thousands of dollars. So let's see here. I'm very glad there'll be funny scenes. That's what I'm excited for. Exactly. The point is to make something that is a one-stop to know all about me, about who I am, what I'm all about, why so many people talk about me on the internet in both positive and negative ways, and also to have fun. That's really the point of the documentary. It's not to dispel all negativity about me. It's not a 2-hour debunking session. It's not, you know what I mean? It's also not 2 hours of just me kissing my own butt and making me look great. That's not the point either. No one would want to see that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to kiss my own butt. So, okay, continuing on. Dan the Man has tipped me $5 and says, hey, Phil. What's going on, Dan? It's good to see you here today. Thanks for being on the stream, and thank you for the support. You see, I had the idea. People are voting for the Hogwarts Legacy Slytherin scarf, which I think is a good idea. Instead of a hat, wear a scarf, because that would go with the sweater, actually. It's the same color, too. So people are voting for that right now. It seems like you guys like the idea of the scarf, which I never wear. I received a $2 tip from Alberto. I've been out of the loop. Why didn't you play the Avatar game? 2 reasons. Number 1, because supposedly it played exactly like Far Cry. Like, people who ended up playing the game said it's not a bad game, but it doesn't really do anything new. It's definitely Far Cry with an Avatar skin over it, so it's just not a big deal. So that was number 1. Number 2 was because there was an overwhelming desire to see me play Baldur's Gate 3. And because people were dying to see me play Baldur's Gate 3, I played that instead. It's that simple. It won Game of the Year, and it was timely for me to start playing it right then, so I did. Very simple. Okay. I got another $1 tip from Snow Carl. I think the documentary is an amazing opportunity. I want to say you're really brave for doing it. Hope it'll show people a nuanced side of Dark Side Phil. I'm looking forward to stories about your childhood. So there you go. Thank you, Snow Carl, for the $1 tip. Okay. And I received another $1 tip from JDTV. I'm excited about this documentary. Thanks for doing it. Today's the first time I'm going to stay awake. I want to watch your late Sea of Stars stream. I'm still on my holiday break. I hope I can make it to your late stream. Hope I don't fall asleep. All right. Well, I hope you don't. If you do, it's all good. You can always watch it after the fact, right? You can always watch it, you know, later on. So no problems there. And thank you for the tip, and thanks for the support. Okay. So the Slytherin scarf is going to win. Like, it's way a huge dominating amount here, okay? So let's do that. And then as for a vest, well, hold on. First of all, let me get the scarf and show you guys what it looks like. And we do have to end the show so we can start playing. Remember, I bought this set of hat and scarf for playing Hogwarts Legacy last year, and I only wore it a few times. I didn't wear it that often. There's the Slytherin logo, right? Funny enough, it matches my sweater. My sweater's green, and the scarf is green. So I can wear the Slytherin scarf today as I stream instead of a hat. Pretty good, right? Cool. It actually, it's funny that it matches the sweater that I'm wearing today. Okay. Now, I don't know about a vest, guys, because the only thin vests I have the denim vest, the gold vest that I just wore for New Year, the Pokemon vest. None of those vests really go, with what I'm wearing. How could you wear a vest over a sweater, right? I don't think you really can. So, it's really up to you. And let's be honest here, it's really up to Lil Shake and Bake, because Lil Shake and Bake did the ginormous contribution. You know what I mean? It's I don't know. I feel like it's better here with the scarf than anything else. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You like the scarf? Well, then we'll just roll with the scarf for today. By the way, I do have to put on the glasses. I'm not retiring the vest. It's just that if I'm wearing a freaking sweater, how you wear a sweater over or vest over your sweater. The whole point of wearing the vest is you're wearing something light under it, and that's why you're wearing a vest. It's like wearing a jacket over a coat. It's kind of stupid, right? I definitely wasn't expecting to get this level of support today, to be honest. Okay. Yuck. This is disgusting. All right, guys. So, last chance if you want to talk with me before we adjourn the podcast. I knew the podcast would go late today because of the announcement. I'm sure you guys are going to have more questions for me, and I don't know how much I can answer or not. You see what I'm saying? I don't know what I can answer or not, simply because a lot of the stuff, like I said, we're still in planning phase. Nothing's been filmed or anything yet. So I don't really know specifics, nor do I think I would want to reveal too many specifics, because I feel like basically that would be giving away too much. And what's the point of watching if you already know what's in it? Then again, there will be some teasers as well along the way. Hold on, let me turn off the light here. Okay. Phew. I'm already sweaty too. Wearing this sweater, I'm already sweaty, right? Okay. The villain says, I recently beat like a dragon. My question is, would the old DSP enjoy Yakuza games? Well, I mean, I started playing them over a decade ago. Dead Souls was the first Yakuza game I ever played, and I liked it. And it got me into the mainstream one. So I would think yes. I think so. Skill Scholar says, fully describe the documentary moment to moment and start to finish. There you go. Dr. Oink, I see what you're saying. He keeps spamming the same thing. He keeps saying, most YouTuber documentaries turn out toxic. I don't think you need that. Your boys will love you without it. Again, this documentary is going to have a little bit of something for everyone. All right? It will have stuff that my fans are going to enjoy and want to see. It's going to have stuff that people who don't like me want to see. And it's going to have stuff for people who know nothing about me. It's going to basically be like the go-to video about me for everyone. Okay? It's not going to be overly 100% anything, I feel. I think that's the way it would be better, is that it's not. It's not, again, it's not butt kissing, but it's not shitting on. It's everything. Covering all of that, I think, is going to make it the fairest shake I've ever gotten, you see? Have I ever had a Stromboli? I had a Stromboli ages ago from a delivery place in Connecticut, but interestingly enough, they were Greek. It was Greek pizza and Greek Stromboli, so it probably wasn't authentic. I thought it was all right, but I've never had like an authentic Italian Stromboli before. Play cool if you want the skinny. Watch the podcast back. Obviously, I'm not going to recap everything I just explained for over an hour about this documentary, but to answer your question, no, the documentary will be coming this year, but much later this year. It's not coming out anytime soon. We haven't started even work on it yet. So, there you go. Do I like cannolis? Interestingly enough, no, I do not. I'm Italian, and I've had a cannoli and didn't like it. Because cannolis, you think they're like super sweet. They're not. They're more savory. It's like a custard in the middle. So when you eat it, it doesn't taste like a sweet cream like you would think. I don't like cannoli. I prefer like a sweeter pastry. Would I ever do a poll for a major store decision in Baldur's Gate 3? No. I prefer to make the choices for myself. Maybe later on, if I was ever to do a second run and the whole run was determined by chat, maybe, but I'm not going to do that in my first run, no. Has anyone ever mentioned I look like Bono from U2? Yes, constantly people just mention how I look exactly like Bono, like to a T. I walk down the street, you know, and people start singing Bono songs, like, hold me, thrill me, kiss me, kill me. I'm like, what are you doing? And they go, I know who you are. And I say, okay, bro. And I just keep walking. Right. Do I like gabagool? I've never had gabagool. Dr. Oink, you joined late, didn't you? Dr. Oink, I suggest you also watch back the podcast so you'll get your answers. Because it seems like a lot of people are joining and they're like, I hope that this is happening, that is happening. I already answered your questions. You just had to go back and watch, so. All right, guys. Let's end the show. I knew it would be a longer one. And I'm sure there'll be lots more follow-up and questioning. Like I said, though, I would like to play Baldur's Gate 3. That's why I talked about this on the podcast today, so we can get it out of the way. All right? I'm sure now there'll be tons of questions and things going on. That's fine, but I can only tell you as much as I can, and I can't tell you every little detail of everything yet because we're not even ready yet. You know what I mean? So, more coming. But thank you all for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow's my day off. I will not be here, so no podcast tomorrow. I know that many of you will be crying over this. You'll actually be... Man, I forgot to update. I have a new 15 years of DSP picture. I forgot to update this one. But yeah, I'm sure many of you will be bawling your eyes out about this because you absolutely enjoy the podcast, and to have a day without it, right, is like a horrible thing. It's kind of like having withdrawals, right? Like, I'm not, oh my God, I don't have the podcast today? Like, what am I supposed to do with my life? I hear you. I'm kidding, obviously. Well, so hold on. I just added the new one. New Year. That's the old one right there. 15 years of DSP. Let's get rid of that one. Okay, hold on. Ready? There it is. There's the new 15 years of DSP picture. I added it. That's an updated one with more silly faces rather than just my old, what appear to be like mugshot faces. So there you go. All right, so guys, thank you for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed the show. I won't be here tomorrow. I hope you have a safe and fun day. When I come back on Friday, we're back to another week at it with fun stuff. And I want to say thanks for a great podcast. Thanks for a great streaming week. Stay warm, if indeed you are in the cold, like I am. And I will see you Friday. Peace out. Bye-bye.